MS, and welcome back to another field report. I'm here in Montpelier, Vermont, where the spinal disease is greatly affecting everybody. Scientists have discovered this equation to predict the spread of the disease. Y equals the number of people infected, R is the rate, and then T is time. The 40 is equal to how many people were initially affected, and
Hi, I'm Miss Silver,
And I'm Miss Gold. Welcome back!
and today we'll be discussing a deadly outbreak of finals disease. Scientists have discovered that in Mexico, this equation can determine how many people will be infected at what point in time in the future. In this equation, y is the number of people affected after a certain amount of time, which is x. I found this equation by using a graphing calculator.
Officials have discovered that the outbreak in Canada can be calculated through this equation, where y equals number of people and x equals amount of days since initial infection.
I'm here in Canada with local professor Sparkle Fingers, and she will be answering questions about how many people will be infected in Canada.
So we believe that about 3,980,596 people will be infected by May 1st.
When will 100,000 people be infected?
We believe it'll be by April 20th.
What about 1 million?
We believe April 24th.
And when will the entire population of Canada be infected by this disease?
Most likely April 28th.
Okay.
This is our graph for how many people in the US will be infected as time goes on. The x-axis represents the number of days from the initial infection, and the y-axis represents how many people are infected at that point of time.
Hi, I'm with Senora Calvio, a scientist of Mexico, and we're going to be asking her similar questions to what we asked the Canadian professor. By May 1st, how many infections do you expect to be in Mexico?
Actually, it's a devastatingly high number, 26,760 people.
And at what point would you expect 10,000 people to be infected in Mexico?
It's shockingly soon, April 29th.
100,000?
Probably by May 5th.
And at what point would 1 million people be infected in Mexico?
Since the finals disease spreads fairly quickly, we will expect it to spread to that many people in less than a month on May 12th.
When would you expect the entire population of Mexico to be infected by this disease?
This disease would spread to the entire population in less than 2 months, on May 27th.
What percent of the population infected would you recommend evacuated the key government leaders?
We recommend that the key government leaders should evacuate at around 50%, because by 50%, the rest of the population, since there's so many people infected already, the rest of the population could be affected in a matter of days, so they could be infected very easily.
At what date would you expect this percent population infection to occur?
Probably by May 25th, and then since the entire population will be infected by May 27th, we should evacuate the key leaders.
And then what state or group of states has the equivalent number of people as your evacuation limit?
There a lot of the countries, since it's half the population, the states in Mexico involved are Mexico City, Veracruz, Jalisco, Puebla, Guanajuato, Chiapas, León, Michoacán, and Sinaloa.
This graph represents the amount of people affected by finals disease in Mexico, with the x-axis again representing the amount of time passed since the initial infection and the y-axis representing the amount of people infected.
By May 1st, how many infections are expected in the United States? 10,000 people will be infected on April 30th. On what date will 100,000 people be infected? 100,000 people will be infected on June 3rd. When will 1 million people be infected in the United States? 1 million people will be infected on September 19th. The entire population of the United States will be infected on February 10th, 2020. At what percent population infected would you recommend evacuation of key government leaders? We recommend that at about when 25% of the population is infected, that we evacuate the key government leaders because this disease is spreading rapidly. At what date would you expect this percent population infection to occur? We expect the percent population infection to occur on April 19th. What state or group of states has the equivalent number of people as your evacuation limit? States California, Texas, Georgia, and Alaska have the equivalent of our evacuation limit.
This is our graph representing how many people are affected by finals disease in Canada, and like the previous graphs, the x-axis represents the amount of days since the initial infection and the y-axis represents how many people are infected. So in order to use these equations that we came up with, for example, if the question was how many people would be infected by, say, April 16th, then we would add the amount of days from the original day that April 16th is. So if the original day would be April 14th, then we would say it was the third day of infection. So then you would plug in for, since it's the third day of infection, you would plug in 3 for x and then solve from there, and then y would be your answer. It's the same thing if they say how many days would it be until 1 million people were infected, then you would plug in 1 million for y and then solve from there and get x, and x will be the amount of days, and then add that amount of days to the original infection, and then you'll get the date of the infection. Hi, and I'm the next interviewer for GSM Studios. And today, I'm here with Mr. Berger, a world-renowned scientist, with the answers to the questions about this new discovered disease called finals disease. So, Mr. Berger, my first question for you is, when was the first infection in the entire world? Well, Mr. Interviewer, we believe that the first case of the disease was on April 1st in a small town in Mexico, because we had a case of one high school-aged man coming into his doctor complaining of stress and aches and pains, which are similar symptoms to that of finals disease. Well, very interesting, Mr. Berger. But our next question is, when will the entire world be affected by this disgusting disease? Well, the entire world population will be affected, if our calculations are correct, in mid-June on June 20th. This is a matter of months, and this issue must be solved if we don't want the entire world wiped out by finals. Well, a new cure for this disease has been recently invented, and it has been contemplated on where it should be used first and if it will work at all to cure the entire world population or those who have been infected by this disease so far. Since this cure has been created, we have been doing a lot of research on it, and we figured out that this cure could cure the disease in the entire world population, but it would take a matter of over 6 months, and we don't have that long to wait, so we suggest waiting until another cure comes out or using it in the meantime as another cure is being discovered. And we believe that Mexico should have the cure first because that's where the disease started and that's where it's spreading the fastest.